Also, as this has gone on, we said we are fighting a war on two fronts. We're fighting the virus, and we're fighting fear. And they are two totally different situations that you have to deal with. In many ways, the fear is more dangerous than the virus. I started working on disasters, emergency situations when I was in my 30s. My first experience was Hurricane Andrew in Homestead, Florida. And I felt it. I saw on the ground what happens when people panic. And the panic and the fear is as dangerous or more dangerous than the hurricane. I've seen it in floods. I've seen it in fires. We now have misinformation and fear and panic, which is as contagious or more contagious than the virus. And we have to deal with both of them. I've had some conversations that are just irrational with people who heretofore were wholly rational. I had a conversation last night with a business person from New York City who I know, who was panicked that New York City was going to be locked down, that there were going to be roadblocks, that there were going to be mandatory quarantine. He was going to be imprisoned in his house. And I said, where did you hear that? Well, that's what they say. That's what I'm hearing. They're saying. And I was saying, look, I would know, right? Because I would have to authorize those actions legally. It's not going to happen. Well, I hear it is going to happen. I said, but I know, but I would have to do it. And I'm telling you, I'm not doing it. It must have taken me 25 minutes just to slow him down to hear the information. When you get that emotional, that fearful, you literally don't process information the same way. So we have to be very aware of that. Clear communication from everyone, from our friends in the media, from the healthcare professionals, from all elected officials. Clear communication, consistent communication, because misinformation, emotion, fear, panic is truly more dangerous than the virus at this position in my
COVID cases walking in the door, which is a very important number, that's down. And the number of lives lost is down to 84. 84 is still a tragedy, no doubt. But the fact that it's down as low as it is really overall good news. I had a conversation with a healthcare professional once, and I said, what number should I be looking for to get down as a bottom number on the deaths? And the doctor said, it wasn't our health commissioner, he said, if I were you, I would look for 100. You want to be below 100. And I said, why 100? He said, well, people are going to pass away when they're ill. And often it's pneumonia or it's something else. But if you can get under 100, I think you can breathe a sigh of relief. When he said this to me, we were in the hundreds and hundreds, and getting below 100 was almost impossible. But I made a little note. You need something in life to shoot for. You need something to aim for. And it's not official. I don't even know if it was 100% accurate. But in my head, I was always looking to get under 100. And we're under 100. Doesn't do any good for those 84 families that are feeling the pain. But for me, it's just a sign that we're making real progress. And I feel good about that. We've been talking about reopening.
Dinner, but it started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was somewhere in the, I don't really know why they called it dinner, but everybody was at the table. Spaghetti and meatballs every Sunday. I started my tomato sauce before I left. We're going to go back. We're going to sit at the table, have our spaghetti and meatballs on Sunday.
and I know what I'm going to talk to them about. My daughters, Mariah, and Mariah brought her boyfriend, who's also here. The boyfriend is very nice, and we like the boyfriend. Advice to fathers. The answer on what you think of the boyfriend is always, I like the boyfriend, always. Because there's only two options. Either you like the boyfriend, in which case you say, I like the boyfriend, or you don't like the boyfriend. But you can never say you don't like the boyfriend. I learned this lesson the hard way. Otherwise, it triggers NDS. NDS is natural defiance syndrome. It's not documented, but it is a psychological condition where if you say as a father, I don't like him, natural defiance syndrome kicks in, and then they like the boyfriend more because he is opposed by the father. So the answer has to be, I like the boyfriend. In this case, I actually like the boyfriend. But even if you don't like the boyfriend, the answer can only be that I like the boyfriend. But we're going to be at dinner with the boyfriend, and we're going to have our spaghetti and our meatballs. They won't eat the spaghetti and the meatballs because when I cook it, they just won't eat it. But they move it around the dish, and that's all I can is subject to this virus. It is the great equalizer. I don't care how smart, how rich, how powerful you think you are. I don't care how young, how old. This virus is the great equalizer. My brother Chris is positive for coronavirus, found out this morning. Now, he is going to be fine. He's young, in good shape, strong, not as strong as he thinks, but he will be fine. But there's a lesson in this. He's an essential worker, member of the press, so he's been out there. If you go out there, the chance that you get infected is very high. I spoke to him this morning, and he's going to be quarantined in his basement at home. He's just worried about his daughter and his kids, that he hopes he didn't get them infected. You don't really know Chris. You know, you see Chris, he has a show on 9 o'clock on CNN. But you just see one dimension, right? You see a person in his job. And in his job, he's combative and he's argumentative and he's pushing people. But that's his job. That's really not who he is. He's a really sweet, beautiful guy. And he's my best friend. My father was always working, so it was always just me and Chris. And he's a lawyer also, Chris. He's a lawyer because growing up, the decision point came to what do you want to do after college? And my father was a very strong personality. And my father basically suggested forcefully to Chris that he should be a lawyer. It was a different time and a different place, you know. Now, my daughters, Cara, who's here, you know, they all follow their individual stars. This is their destiny, which is right. If you had said to my father, I want to follow my individual star, he would say, yeah, you're going to follow your individual star right out that door. You know, that's what he would have said. So Chris went to law school, but he never really had a desire to practice law. He calls me when he's about 26. He's at a law firm. And he said, you know, I don't want to be a lawyer. I said, yeah, I know, but you are now a lawyer. You are. He said, yeah, but I don't want to be a lawyer. I said, what do you want to be? He said, I want to be a journalist. I said, you want to be a journalist? I said, it's too late. You're a lawyer. You have to pay law school bills. You didn't go to journalism school. It's too late. No, I think I can do it. And God bless him. He quit the law firm, went to work for Fox TV, which is a whole separate conversation in the house, and then worked his way up. He's at CNN. He does a beautiful job. But a sweet guy. And now he's quarantined in the basement. But he's funny as heck. He says to me, even the dogs won't come downstairs, he says. So, but he is concerned about his wife and his kids. But
The reason I raise it is he's smart, he's social distancing, yes, but you wind up exposing yourself. People wind up exposing you, and then they find out they're positive a couple of days later. And I had a situation with Christopher 2 weeks ago that I even mentioned. My mother was at his house. And I said, that is a mistake. Now, my mother is in a different situation. She's older, and she's healthy, but I said, you can't have mom at the house. And he said, no, mom is lonely. She wants to be at the house. I feel bad. She's cooped up in the apartment. I said, yeah, I feel bad she's cooped up in the apartment too. But you bring her to your house, you expose her to a lot of things. You have the kids there. You have your wife there. You're coming and going. Your wife is coming and going. And you could expose mom to the virus. And love is sometimes a little, needs to be a little smarter than just reactive. And we had a whole discussion. And truth, now he's informed, I'm informed. Was that dangerous? Was that not dangerous? So I went back to Dr. Zucker and I said, look, we have to tell people, what are the rules? How does this work? That's when I came up with Matilda's Law. And I said I named it for my mother. And it was very clear about people who are older and what they should be exposed to. My brother, that was 2 weeks ago. If my brother still had my mother at his house, again, out of love and comfort, and my mother wanted to be at the house anyway, by the way. She didn't want to be sitting at home in an apartment. So she would have been doing what she wanted to do. He would have been doing what he wanted to do. It would have seemed great and harmless, but now we'd have a much different situation. Because if he was exposed, chances are she may very well have been exposed, and then we would be looking at a different situation than just my brother sitting in his basement for 2 weeks. So think about that, right? My brother's smart. He was acting out of love. Luckily, we caught it early enough. But it's my family. It's your family. It's all of our families. And this virus is that insidious. And we have to keep that in mind. I would say this, John. The executive order, I'm adding a couple of other things to the executive order. We're going to have to extend a few policies that are going to expire. The concept here that people have to get is nobody can handle this alone. Nobody. The people of New York City cannot handle this alone. The people of Nassau can't handle it alone. People of Suffolk can't handle it alone. People of Westchester can't handle it alone. People of Buffalo can't handle it alone. People of Albany can't handle it alone. Period. That is just a fact. This virus will overwhelm the resources of any single community. It's also true nationwide. Our wisdom here in New York, our mental wisdom, and our ethos is we'll help one another. This surge flex, every day we sit there allocating among hospitals, shifting gowns, shifting masks, shifting patients. Nassau needs this, Suffolk needs this, Westchester needs this. And that's the only way we're doing it, by shifting of those resources. We will come to a point where that wave will run right through the state. And we're going to have to do that for Albany and Rochester and Syracuse and the North Country and the Hudson Valley. That is going to happen. And I guarantee the people of this state that as long as I'm governor of this state, we won't lose a life if we can prevent it. And we're not going to lose a life because we didn't share resources among ourselves. Anything anyone needs in Buffalo to fight this virus when it hits Buffalo will be there. If it comes from Montauk Point, and I have to get in a truck and drive it from Montauk Point to Buffalo, it will be there. And that's the way we've governed this state, and that's the way we've operated. That was our mentality post 9/11. That's how the state has operated for the past 10 years, and that's how it will be going forward. Whatever any community needs, we will be there. Now, I understand the fear. Well, if I lend you my ventilator, what happens when I need the ventilator? That was FDR in the garden hose, right? First of all, smart is you don't want your house to burn down. Don't let the neighbor's house burn down. When the fire hits the neighbor's house, it's in your self-interest to put out the fire in the neighbor's house. Not only is it the right community, moral, ethical thing, it's the smart, practical thing. Why did Oregon send us 140 ventilators? Because they're very nice people. Yes, Governor Brown is a great leader. Why else? Because they see the fire spreading. And they say, better we put out the fire before it gets to us. If I'm sitting in upstate New York right now, and I see that fire coming up, I say, let's go put that fire out before it gets to us. But even if the fire gets to you, every hose in the state that can be sent to you because they don't need it will be sent to you. And all we're asking is for ventilators that you aren't using now and you don't foresee using in the foreseeable future. Right? I say to you, John, do you have any ventilators that you're not using and you don't think you're going to need in the foreseeable future? Yes, I do. I have 10. Okay. Let me borrow 2. The 20% is what gets you to the 500 ventilators. So, go ahead.